Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Let's press a button so I can see you all. Hello everyone, it's a bit of a late one for me tonight. And yes, as Joel just said in the chat, it's a bit late for writing. Quite right. This stream is going to be something a little bit different from what I usually do. I'm kind of chilling out in the in Studio B here. And one of my kind of New Year's resolutions, so to speak, was that I want to write an album this year, which is no mean feat, is no small task. And there are certain things that I want to do with it, and I figured that kind of to get my ass in gear, so to speak, I am probably best off doing this all on the channel, doing it live. So I've got a few things that I want to do, and this is kind of for you all to all kind of watch and carry on. And yes, I don't think I'm even going to look at things like chord structures today. What I'm not doing is the kind of pop style of writing. What I want to do is, well, I'll show you the song that I have that went out in the Audience video, the full version, which doesn't have any lyrics or anything. But then I'll try and vaguely describe the idea that I have for the album, because the album is going to be kind of a vague concept. I'm not sure just how deep into the concept I'm going to go, but what I want to do with this stream, I think, is plan things out. There's a software that Mike Mallion's just got me into called Obsidian. I've not used it at all yet, so it could be a bit of a nightmare. Oh, my teeth are killing me today. I need to go and see my dentist. But firstly, I will show you on the other screen, if I can get the sound to work. I'll just turn off Lo-Fi Girl background music for a minute and show you this full version of this song for you. So I'll just pause that there. Pause. Thank you. And that's all we need from that. And that's Obsidian, which is kind of like it's a text file thing, but it's also got some chart thing, and I'll have to work out. Yeah, so that was kind of like almost the overture for the album. And it's a demo stage there, as I kind of consider it. It's not kind of, it can be changed. If it needs to be changed. And so that's kind of the first part. It's got some themes in it. It's got some chord changes. It's got a whole middle section that got left out of the audience video. And yeah, that's got some of the musical ideas that have been floating around in my brain for a long time. And so what I kind of want to do, though, is just kind of take a few steps away from the music for a minute and basically get really meta with this. And I kind of want to spell out for myself the album in a way where I say, like, these, because I've got a vague idea, which I'm going to tell you, for kind of the world in which this story is going to happen. I've got a vague idea of kind of, I'm going to start fleshing this out as I go. I genuinely don't actually know what I want to do with this. It's all very vague. But hopefully, over the course of this stream, I'll start making it a bit less vague. So, the theme for the album that I've got in mind is something vaguely post-apocalyptic. So this is something that I've had in mind for a long time. So kind of, I've always been a massive fan of the Fallout universe, but I don't want to make this like a fan fiction kind of specifically about the world of Fallout album, because that's not my intention. I'm thinking of just using that kind of idea as a vague kind of backdrop to write a new story too. And what that new story is, I'm not entirely sure yet. But let's just write in post-apocalyptic theme. And this is where I'm thinking of kind of writing it. Feel free to add something in chat, by the way. I'll probably tell you no, but but there's a lot of room for people to throw ideas around that I might see, because I'm gonna start throwing things around. None of this is set in stone, so I'm gonna say like 12 songs concept album. If it turns out to be 10 songs or 15 songs or whatever, fine. But this is something that I want to try and work towards. The reason I said 12 songs is there are 12 months in this year, and that gives me a rough target of getting one demo together each month. Whether I achieve that or not, we'll see. But that is very much kind of, yeah, if it takes a little longer than a year but we're really close, then we can add more songs. If it's done sooner, which is unlikely, great. But we're gonna have our overture, which is kind of the thematic intro. Oh, another thing I should probably type is kind of influences, because it's kind of prog-ish, not prog. Also a bit of pop punky stuff, because I'm kind of planning on it being a little bit catchy, but not like all-time low or anything like that. Is it going to be based around a main character? I don't think so. Well, this is where I wanted to kind of word this out a little bit and start, because the way that Obsidian works is I can have like, that can become, the overture can become its own kind of page in however we structure this. And so, yeah, I can start having separate things for separate people. Oh. I think I got something stuck between one of my teeth. It's quite painful and quite distracting. I'll have to sort that out later. But, yeah. So, some catchy choruses. Guitar driven mostly. So I'm thinking, like, I've been listening to a lot of Coheed and Cambria. If you've not listened to Coheed and Cambria, the In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth album is fantastic. I've just been listening to the new Vaxis 2 album recently. Most of their albums are set in the same universe, and they've definitely evolved as they've gone. And I find their whole kind of universe fascinating. But Claudio Sanchez from Coheed tends to write each song kind of specifically about a situation or a person in that universe. I'm not sure if I want to do that or if I want to keep it more vague and situational and just kind of vague observation per song. But I think the reason I want to do this, let's put some more influences in as I go, but I've put Dream Theater in because, again, they've done concept albums that kind of go down a vague kind of path like this. Their most notable concept album, Metropolis Part 2, is very period drama style, which kind of prog metal with period drama. It doesn't seem like it should work, but for me, the reason that I want to do it is that if I just write concise songs, I've got to find a subject for that song where the start and end, the entire thing can be encapsulated in like a 4-minute song, which is hard. And then I get overly self-conscious about whether, oh no, this line's too cheesy, this is too mushy, or I don't want to say that. But if I've got kind of perspective of a world or the perspective of a character, that character could say anything. It could be clumsy, it could be witty, it could be horrible, it could be fantastic, it could be self-aggrandizing, it could be anything, but as long as it comes from that character and not from me personally, I feel like I could get away with murder with that and not have to feel nearly so bad. Also, I'm drinking Newcastle Brown Ale. It's like nearly 11 PM here, so cheers, everybody. So, let's look. So we've got Overture. I'm going to put Big Grand Ending, because that way, Overture... Don't know why the people next door are shouting at this time, but meh, whatever. Yeah, though, probably sound design intro, thematic intro. I was thinking maybe some like radio affected vocal samples, like how to describe what I'm thinking, like, you know, you hear like clips of like wartime Banana Ranch. Hello guys, hope you're doing wonderfully well. Mysterious character called Rex P. Barker III, indeed. But that's the thing, that so it's I'm gonna write in capital letters framing device, because of course a framing device means that it's not me writing from a personal perspective, it's a story written from the perspective of someone. Like, a perfect example of a framing device is the Princess Bride is a film where the old man is telling the kid a story. That's the framing device. So then the story, when it happens, can be quite tongue-in-cheek, and it can quite often just stop the story and just dissect how ridiculous a part of the story is, which isn't quite what I want to do here, but you can play around with the story once you have a narrator and a narrative. That much I know. So yeah, the overture that I have is sorry, that's my cat. I think my cats are attacking each other, being little gits. Yeah. I basically, by the end of this stream, want to write out 12 cues for songs. So let's framing device. But I don't want to just come up with complete rubbish. I want to kind of start. I suppose it's post-apocalyptic story of survival. It doesn't need to have any like superhuman elements in, although we may get some of that. It may become a little bit sci-fi fantastical. But I think what I want to do is let's put the words human element. Look at the kind of not the nitty gritty of each part of surviving in. Hello from Kosovo. Hello. Each part of surviving in a nuclear wasteland. I suppose I want to look at the human element of like what that does to a person. Ooh. Hit cannibalism. Eating a friend/loved one. It's a very dark theme. That's probably going to come near the end. Yeah, so let's just put a bracket here and put the sick and dying and you're starving to death. Which doesn't, again, a lot of the writing doesn't have to be literal. But I think that if I wrote a song about cannibalism, you would probably want to have me certified and, you know, like locked up in an insane asylum. Will it all be detrimental or some triumphant? No idea. Because I mean, it could that could be a two-parter. It could be a bit of a Monty Python sketch where the second part is they go, "I'm not actually dead. I'm getting better." Or it could be survivor's guilt. Very good idea. In fact, that's probably one for the middle of the album, Survivor's Guilt. I mean, I'm already thinking, because the vague Fallout universe is, you know, a lot of people went to vaults and that's what the games focus on. What about if you didn't make it into a vault? The hunt for protection, survival as the bombs drop, which places us at the time of the actual like event. I'm not actually dead. Yeah, so that we've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not sure what the big grand ending would be. Maybe showdown of not dead person and protagonist goes mad and turns into like the antagonist. Story perspective changes as only the other one survives. Remains. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking now of the song "Brave New World" from War of the Worlds. The brave new world, fight between good and evil. That's a good jumping off point, but no good and evil. just death. Because that's something that I think I could probably write on a prompt like that when we're talking about nuclear devastation, there is no such thing as good and evil. I don't think. It's just utter destruction, and you either survive or you don't. Oh yes, Chris, Oppenheimer's speech about the nuke. I mean, I'm thinking about like them. What's the Linkin Park album with the Catalyst on? Where there's a lot of random kind of radio, but a lot of that is just noisy and incoherent and trying to set a mood. I think I would want it to be a little bit more specific. But I'm sure everybody's done the kind of the overdone actual cliche of Oppenheimer. The now I am become death, destroyer of worlds. There is a film, by the way, called Oppenheimer coming out in the next year. I saw the trailer for it recently. So that's kind of awkward when that kind of thing happens, that, you know, you've got an idea and somebody else is already running with it and the film's already finished post-production. Yeah. But that concept, yeah, really good. Like, I've always liked the concept in the Fallout universe of the Maxon family, which is the originators of the Brotherhood of Steel. They were a military unit originally, and when the bombs fell, they basically split from the military and decided to keep the technology going rather than just blindly follow orders from an army that didn't exist anymore and there's like no president or whatever. So they just went, screw it, we've got the weapons. Oh, Linkin Park did use the Oppenheimer Destroyer of Worlds, right? So I like that idea. Don't use it, just like the idea. Right, because, yeah, if Mike Shinoda's already done that, I definitely don't want to be copying other people. Because as much as this is a vague idea that's based in a universe that isn't mine, it's not specifically based in that. Rebuilding the human race, no. That's not, especially on this album. Maybe if this works and we get somewhere with it, maybe several albums down the line, that could be a concept. But I think this should focus a lot more on the short term, the human impact of the people in the here and now. Because, like, I mean, let's say that nuclear bombs fell and you survived, you wouldn't be talking about rebuilding the human race. Well, you might in conversation, but you wouldn't seriously be considering. You'd be considering, where's your next non-irradiated water coming from? Where's your next clean food coming from? Where can you go that's not gonna kill you? Which reminds me, mutation. I had an idea in the car about kind of a leader of a new area. What was the line that I came up with? Something like, as flesh fell from bone, he rise to his throne, or something. I mean, that's just something to work on. It's a terrible rhyme. The 7 stages of grief. What, beer 1 to beer 7? No, I don't want this to become just a gothic opera about, like, oh, woe is me, all is lost. No. I appreciate the ideas because it helps me know what I don't want as well as knowing what I do want. Something along the lines of Richard Burton's negative of War of the Worlds. No one would have believed In the last years of the 20th century, that human affairs were being watched from the timeless worlds of space. Yes, that one. Yeah. Oh man, my teeth are absolutely killing me. I need to see the dentist. It doesn't help that I'm just drinking Newcastle brown ale, but I went to a sushi place earlier today and ate all the sushi, so it could just be a piece of sushi stuck in my teeth that's causing me grief. I'll stop talking about that now. It's a live stream. But how many have I got now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because the whole like cannibalism big grand ending, that's a 3-parter then. This is almost like a side story. Let's call this Mutation Part 2. Turns out the leader's heightened strength. And I'm going to borrow a plot line from a James Bond film, everybody. Was brain damage. Eventually, he just dies. Where did I go? I was in Liverpool, Nick. So, yeah. I don't think... Although, actually, there's one in Manchester. I think it was called Aki Sushi. A-K-I. Yeah. Rum's better for toothache. I mean, it doesn't actually fix your tooth, but it stops you caring. Oh, narrative instead of negative. I kind of got what you meant. Drink more booze, feel less pain. Yeah, but this stuff's like 10% sugar, and that's getting under my teeth by the feel of it. So, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I know, because to get to cannibalism, our protagonist needs to have met somebody. Meeting up with another survivor. Meeting up with another survivor. Surprise. Common goal. Craving KFC mash. Oh god, of course, yeah, yes. With child. Yes, that now makes sense. I was thinking, hang on, no human in the right mind wants KFC mash. And KFC just liquid pepper. But yes, no, of course, you have a good reason to. Yeah. Hello, Danny. Hello, everybody in chat. As you can see from the screen, anyone who's joining later, we're kind of coming up with the idea for an album right now. And it's absolutely ridiculous, but it's coming together more quickly than I suspected. And I probably won't write the lyrics first for any of this, but if I chip away at kind of coming up with musical themes that fit kind of a brief for one of these, it doesn't have to be that each one of these is like a full rock and metal song either. So let's finish off the kind of the rounding of ideas, because it could well be that, like, I just keep looking at that. I'm not actually dead. Like, it's literally like the "Bring out your dead, bring out your dead" from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I think it was that one. I'm not actually dead. Yes, he is. He's a goner. I'm feeling better. Look. Yeah, I'll never not be able to think of that on this, but you know. yeah, surprise, common goal. Fight. That leads to what's the word? Acquiescence. Probably not spelt that right at all. And friendship. But the let's call him NPC. The NPC's wound it gets infected. She turned me into a mute. I got better. That's the one. So the reason there's no food, okay, because could say that the mutation Tim the Shrubber. A shrubbery? That's a question. Why no food? I mean, irradiated. But also mutated dude had his idiot followers open all the canned stuff. Am I doing a how they got into this mess? Not really, no. If I start adding an entire backstory in, I think that could bloat this out. This is something I literally just watched the video from H Bomber Guy about why Sherlock is garbage. Now, I like the Sherlock series, but the way that he broke it down was very good, and he was talking about a lot of how the writer Stephen Moffat didn't need to go into a lot of overarching plot, and how it actually kind of ruined a lot of the way that each section should have been able to stand on its own 2 feet. So in this case, especially for album 1, I want this to kind of be a slice of kind of a cross section of what happens in this universe. So it can be quite personal, but also quite vague. It can be observational without being detail heavy. I mean, again, this is where Coheed and Cambria are a really big influence. Setting musical parameters like tunings. Not yet. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've got 12 pieces. Maybe now's the time to do that. But yeah, before we even start talking about anything like tunings, I want to look at just talking about, like, a lot of these are going to be like big, like, rock songs. Some of them are going to be quite progressive. Some of them I'll probably want to be quite short. And like, let's look at like Coheed and Cambria. Oh, Chode. Coheed and Cambria. Let's like Blood Red Summer. Let's look at the lyrics for that quickly. That one. Because I don't think there are any names at all in this. But it tells a story, and this is what I want to do. Like, it's about a specific person in a specific story, and it's a cross section of a very detailed thing. But if you want to listen to it as a song that stands alone, there's no real, like, there's no angular language that makes it impenetrable. It's not like kind of if I was singing the script from a Star Trek Next Generation kind of episode. So Tony said, is this my process usually minus the audience? Well, here's the thing. I've never written an album before. I don't think I've ever even finished a full song before. I know I can. I know I'm quite capable. I have all the requisite skills. I can write, I can sing, I can play the instruments. My usual job is very much what you would describe as producer. I tend to take people's half-finished or three-quarter finished ideas and analyze them for that other person and go, here's what's not working, why this, why that, here's what we need to change, all that kind of stuff. Did they do Cemetery Gates? No, that's Pantera. But yeah, it like there are songs, and yeah, like this song's all about like trying to torture somebody into giving up details. Like, in a pain that buckles out your knees, could you stop this if I plead? Like, it's like trying to negotiate their way out of a torture scene. But if you listen to the song, it's really quite light and pop punky, and you can sing along to it without really knowing what the words mean. So that's the approach that I want to take here. So each song can kind of stand on its own, except maybe the last three can become. Again, this is something that Coheed have done. Like on that album, there's Valorium Camper is a 3-part. The Camper Valorium, I do apologise. And that gets really, really grim. Like Camper Valorium 3, Al the Killer, is again a really good example of like, writing an awful character for the purposes of a story. Like, this has the chorus, die white girls, dance upon the graves of the dead. You know, I couldn't write that from my perspective for any reason. Like that, I couldn't sing it honestly, and I couldn't sing it as a pretense. But as a character, like Al the Killer, the named person who this song is from the perspective of, this person is absolutely twisted. And yeah, Arise the Hidden War of the Dead, song unsung. It's like, yeah, this guy's an absolute piece of work. But the fact that it's written from his perspective makes it completely carte blanche, write what you want. The language is like, I mean, it's sung in quite a pretty voice, so it's kind of like The Darkness kind of thing where, you know, Get Your Hands Off My Woman has got lots and lots of swear words, so you can get away with murder if you sing things in a certain way. But also, yeah, like, this has got lyrics that, like, you would be shunned by the entire community if you were to sing this with any shred of a possibility that might be you singing that. Whereas with a concept, I'm not saying I'm going to write from the perspective of a murdering rapist racist, but like when it comes to the songs, like whatever we end up calling the mutation songs, that's almost like in Mad Max when they cut away to the leader in Mad Max Fury Road, where the leader's got like his harem of women and his oxygen mask that he wears, and his, like, imagine writing a song from his perspective and then writing his downfall as part 2 of that. That could be absolutely fascinating. And again, this isn't that universe, but the idea of writing 2 songs around that, this whole idea almost drives me that I could write. And again, because lyrics for a song in this context can be so jump into story, write story piece, jump out of story, it gives me a lot of creative freedom to not have to be very good at writing. But yeah, I mean, there are absolutely no solid plans. This is the first that this has been seen. I've talked to Mike Mallion about some of the rough ideas before this paragraph got written. It seems like Mike's down for playing the drums for me on a lot of this, which really helps. But it looks like... yeah, come on, brain, finish sentence. It looks like I'll be able to kind of demo these out, and the pressure will be off me to try and, craft the perfect drums or that kind of thing. I can literally just put as long as it keeps the correct time in there, and that'll take the weight off me that I can then throw a half-finished alpha version of a demo at Mike and be like, "Can I has drums, please?" Because that way he can then, in his home setup when he's back off tour, he'll be able to just smash out some better formed drums for me, which I can maybe retrack around or maybe keep. Repo FE generic. I'll have a look. But yeah, the idea there is to just massively boost productivity, because I, for one, I don't know about you guys at home, but I can really get bogged down in trying really hard to make the perfect performance. And I've come to the realization, especially as a producer, that writing a song and capturing the perfect performance should never meet. They should be completely separate things. Because when you're writing, you should be focusing on writing, whether that's something that you do bashing on an acoustic guitar, or whether you just program a very basic line in and sing something over the top, or whether it's a band jamming in a practice room. It doesn't have to be note perfect as long as the idea is there. Because then when the idea is there, you can fill out an arrangement. You can feel how the arrangement goes and twist it round until it feels right. Then make sure the lyrics are right, and then you record it properly for release. And by doing that, you separate out the processes of thinking about song, thinking about structure, thinking about making sound good. Because generally my job has been in the making sound good. That's what a lot of you will know me from, is I will take somebody's their song that they've recorded in the bedroom or whatever it is that they've done, or even in a professional studio, and I will then make it sound good. But yeah, this is a very different skill set, and that's why I'm really trying to zoom out on this before I go crazy. So we've got our album overview, and I think I need to make a new canvas and drag the album overview on. And this is where this Obsidian is going to start getting clever, I think. So overture, extract current selection. No. Oh, by the way, I've got the lo-fi hip-hop radio on in the background, which is what's keeping you all kind of company. But yeah, let's copy that and then go add card, and does this work? Because I want that to be kind of the main thing. The cats are destroying the house. Wonderful. Enable grid snapping. That'll make my life happier. There we go. Because if I... Nope. Oh, what was that just got... Oh, the hunt. There we go. Yeah, I'll just do this with it and just drop this into... Oh. I just want that to be bigger. Thanks. No. It's different. No. I suppose I could go that way. There we go. This is what I don't tend to like about apps like this. I know a lot of people are like, oh, a flowchart and that kind of thing. And I'm like, flowchart. It's like, I could be spending this time actually doing something. But I think in this rare case, I think this is actually quite useful. Not sure about the no good and evil being... And yeah, the reason I'm breaking this out now into these separate bits is like, I don't need a flow chart that goes one song to the next, but what I do need is doing this so that I can then open up each one of these and just like, if I, convert to file, one overture. No, that's two overture. Because it's, add card and then save that as a file called one sound design intro. See, now we're getting somewhere. Drunk on your way home. We're writing an album is what we're doing. Slowly but surely. Let's make, there we go. So let's convert to file 3 hunt for protection, because all of these are going to change. Let's just move that and then convert these to files for survivor's guilt. But yeah, let's just call this 5 nihilism. Because yeah, what I can do with these is I can make this lot and then just go like convert to file 6 another survivor, and I can very quickly, I'm just going to full screen this now, turn this into a full set of files that I can then write more detail in as we go, and hopefully, hopefully do something. No, he doesn't just die, he is taken down by NPC, but at a cost. Wound / infection. Okay. There we go. That's a much better thing. Yeah, so another survivor means that, hey, we got an NPC in our party. And then, yeah, suddenly the story flows a lot better, because then the reason for adding this thing in is not then completely random. Because now it goes like, we've got a setting, then we've got a protagonist, then we've got a companion for the protagonist, then we've got an antagonist, then we've got a problem with the companion, which then results in the grand finale to this part of the story being with the protagonist and his NPC friend, and moral bankruptcy that happens at the end of Survival. Yes, we have a story. We have a 3-act story. Yes. Oh, fantastic. Oh, yes. This came together far too quickly. I mean, I'd love to say, oh yeah, I've been thinking about this for years, but like I've been mulling over rough, like none of this detail, but I suppose a lot of the skills and things that I've been working on for years have all started to come together a little bit. Yeah, why no food? Because not like I say, not all of these have to be a big stomping rock track. Let's convert to file 9, no food. Let's put it there, and then cannibalism. Let's call this one 10 human food part 1. Then add card. I'm not actually dead. That's all it says there right now. We've not been adding our arrows, but arrow. How are you doing? Arrow. What program is this? This is Obsidian. This is the first time I've used Obsidian. I'm going to rename this to be album flowchart. It seems pretty useful. Convert that to a file 11 human food part 2. And the joke there is it is literally just a Monty Python sketch. I'm not actually dead. And then last part. Because yeah, this is. I was gonna go to bed an hour ago, and I'm glad I didn't now, because this seems like a lot of progress. Convert that to a file 12. Fight for your right to nom nom. What are we gonna call it? Let's just call it big finale for now. Finale. And that is much more than we had at the start of this stream. So, and now I've got on the left, you can see I've got 12 files which I can now write in. I've got album flowchart, which is Canvas, which does that. And so I can keep everything together, and I can start adding in here stuff. Right, so now I'm going to just delete a lot of the words out of this bit, because I've now got them spread out over here, so I don't need them to be I want to put electronica in there, but not main focus. And because yeah, some of these, like I'm already thinking Survivor's Guilt. That doesn't need to be a full song. Not a full song. Maybe a dark sound design piece. But then the nihilism one would have to balance that out by being like, why do we bother? Literally, like, what's the point? What's the point? Yeah. What's the point? What's the point? Point. What's the point? What's the point? No. Like I said, electronica not main focus. We are not going badger mushroom with this thing. But yeah, I definitely didn't want to focus for this particular session, at least, on things like what key we're going to be in or anything like that, because that can be decided on a whim. That can be, because I'm not planning on playing this live, so I can switch tunings in the middle of a song if I like, rather than have to be like, oh, most of it's in, as my good mate John Brown would say, everything's in Dadgad, because that's his thing. Although, truth be told, his most recent work has been in a dropped version of Dadgad, so like C# version Dadgad. My brain doesn't work that way, so I can't Dadgad. But what I can do is regular tunings and drop D tunings. So yeah, those are the two brain formats that I can work in. I've got some wonderful instruments to do this with. I don't know how many of you have seen some of the stuff that I've got in here. New amp, I've got the PV Triple X Mark II up there. That is an amazing amp. I'm so pleased with that. And I've got the Yamaha Rev 7 reverb over there, which electrocuted me a few days ago. Entirely my own fault, not the reverb's fault. I was following proper safety procedures in a lot of ways though, so I got a mild shock on one arm and didn't die, as you can see. But yeah, that's what you get for putting your finger on something on a live power supply. Don't do that. I mean, we all knew that anyway, right? You don't do that. But I was just slightly clumsy. But because I did the thing where you don't use one hand and only work with one hand and with isolated tools, I caught a finger on the power supply, just on the top of a capacitor, not even on the circuit. And it just went zzz, burn like hell and still hurts. So yeah, don't do that. It's very silly. Silly idea. Don't go shaking hands with Mr. 240, because that's the other thing in UK and Europe. It's not 120 volts like it is in the US, it's 240 volts. And it really kind of stings. But yeah. What I do plan on doing. Why are my LEDs all just blue? That's a question. Sorry. Getting distracted by the squirrels. There we go. That's better. Although it doesn't look any different on camera. Yeah, I've got a lot of new wonderful things recently to play with on this album. Like, I've got some diode bridge compressors from Herc, and I've got germanium EQs and other wonderful words that you don't have to care about. And I even got some stuff that's not from Herc. I've got stuff from Stam Audio coming, which I'm well excited for, because they're sending me their Valve Neve preamp and their 1176 Blue Stripe and their U87 clone and an LA3A, and I am so excited for that. If you don't know what any of that means, it means I'm going to have some of the most awesome sounding vocals that you can think of in like a pocket rocket kind of format. And oh yes, giddy. Also, I've just got in a Keeley Red Dirt Overdrive down there, which is the best tube screamer I think I've ever used. And I brought my dead wheeled Golem from the studio, so now when I go chug chug, it doesn't go chug chug, it goes chug chug. Anyway, I'm getting massively off topic. Put one beer in me and watch me go. Yeah, do me a huge favour, guys, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button. That really helps with, because these live streams, they're not going to do my channel any favours in terms of views. So yeah, if you can all help me out with that. I know you're all subscribed, right? That also massively helps. More subscribers equals more good, especially for the unholy algorithm. But yeah, I think this concludes our broadcast day. Unless anyone's got any questions, anything they want to add, please do. Because the more ideas you throw at me, the more I've got to work on. Yeah, it's like mostly guitar stuff. Not much in terms of flashy solos. Solos? No, guitar solos. Awesome drums because Malian. Lots of bass because me. And I mean, there's nothing stopping me for a project like this from having like guest vocalists or whatever. I don't want this to turn into an Avantasia type thing. Like the metal opera by Avantasia is one of my favorite albums, but there's like 20 vocalists on each album, and it's just like, this is a little much. So yeah. Thanks for this. Is something to watch instead of Saturday night TV. Oh god, it's Saturday as well. I'd completely lost track of that. But as it stands, my wonderful wife Mickey is out at a party. My daughter is in bed, so I'm in the house anyway, and I'm kind of burned out on stuff. I just finished making a video that's going out soon for Blackstar for the bass amp, which you could just see at the top there, the Unity 700. That is an awesome bass amp. Tony says, will this continue as a stream? I mean, I'll leave it running after I leave the room if you like. No, seriously though, yes, the plan is to do all the writing on stream whenever possible, because that will mean that I've got you guys watching over my shoulder and kind of prodding me to keep doing this. I may go quiet at certain points if I tie in a demo production with something like a demo of a piece of gear that's under NDA. But if I do, it won't be for long, and then I'll come back up and be like, hey, I wrote the demo using a thing that you can't see, but never mind, here it is. Because the gear itself doesn't matter so much for the demos, unless we get a very specific sound out of something where we're like, that's the sound. Which does happen, but doesn't happen as often as you'd think. Like, generally speaking, unless you really attach like a distorted guitar as a distorted guitar when it comes to writing, and that's something I've definitely learned with teaching other people to get songs over the finish line, is stop caring how it sounds whilst you write. Just get the music over the line. Once the music's over the line, switch gears and then focus on the quality of the sounds. If you've got good sounding demos, that's great, but if you don't, that's also fine, as long as the content quality is there. Because then if you know that at some point later you're going to go back to re-record from a technical perspective to make it super tightly recorded and, you know, like really using great amps and great mixing, all that kind of stuff. If you know you're going to do that, don't worry about it. It doesn't have to be tightly played either or anything like that for the demo. It can just be bashed out. As long as it's not so horrifically bad that it's unlistenable and takes, you know, it's massively distracting from the performance of the demo. Just get on with it. Because like I've heard demos from people who've made, you know, massive success off the album. You listen to the demo and you're like, ooh, that's a bit rough. But it doesn't matter. And so at some point, as soon as I've got through my massive backlog of videos, because I've got so much on the way, there will be more of this. And now that I've got this, I can now look at this in my off hours as well and maybe just develop on that. Like I said, if anyone's got any ideas, it looks like nothing's come up, but yeah, if anyone's got any ideas, feel free to throw them in. I'm sure I'll get about 5 texts a day off Chris with new ideas. I'll run it past Liam and Mike Mallion, and I'll talk to John Brown about it, and yeah, we'll see what comes of this, but hopefully by the end of the year we'll at least have something we can play start to finish of this. So yeah, we've got an overture as it stands, but ironically the overture will have to be redone now that I think about it, because a good overture is always written last. And it's written last because as you flesh out the rest of the piece, new themes will emerge. And that's the other reason I wanted to do this, is like, now we've got the plot of like another survivor. That person, the other survivor, is going to have their own theme. The mutated leader is going to have his own theme. Our survivor's going to have their theme. The overall, like, the bombs dropping will have its own theme. So there's at least 4 themes there that I can write just a melodic motif that, as long as I'm careful to make sure they can weave over each other, whether you have to mutate one from major to minor, minor to augmented, whatever I have to do. This is what they do in film score composing a lot, is that like you'll sneak the theme from one character into a situation, but slightly mutated, so you kind of subconsciously pick up that it's there, but it's not super obvious. And then when it becomes super obvious as the plot unfolds on screen in a film, you're like, oh, it's that guy. There's so much that can be done with that, but it doesn't have to be written as a film score, but I can take those techniques. Albus, you alright, dude? I've got my NAMM ticket. I don't know if I'm going yet. I need to sort out hotels and flights, and make sure I can afford it. But I was supposed to be going to the Philippines with Henning for his crazy island thing, and I've not gone to that. So hopefully that'll stand me in good stead for being able to afford to fly out. So yeah, I hope so. It's just me this year. I've decided that I'm going to go on my own to keep costs down and keep like cameras to a minimum, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't see why not. But yeah, that's probably a good place to end this stream, because I'm about to fall asleep. So the next time we do a stream like this, we're probably going to start working on one of these songs. And now that I've got this chart that you've just seen, I'll be able to do something like, I mean, I'm already talking about Another Survivor, so I'm probably going to start by working on that and making a theme for that, because I can already think of like, I can make that into a 6 or 7 minute piece straight off the bat. So yeah, because it's going to be like the character hears something and then it's like, it's a trap, but wait, it's not a trap, it's another human, oh my god. And yeah, I don't know. So yeah, properly exciting. So yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out with me. Hit the like button if you haven't already, because it all helps. And I will see you all very, very soon. I've got 2 videos made. One's that Black Star video that I mentioned, but I also have a major launch of a product of mine coming out in the next week. So I'll see you all then. See you later.